Well, hello again on this weekend. Before the storm hits here in the Northeast, we're going to try to enjoy a little bit of time outside with some wine, of course. Now, this is Australia, so this is sort of something we haven't done a lot of. It's called Two Hands is the vineyard. It's a Shiraz from the Barossa Valley, and their label is called Bella's Garden. It's a 2004 100% Shiraz or Syrah, from Australia. As Hani would say, it's a northern Rhone from the south, and it's very different, as you will see. So Australia, as we know, as I'm sure a lot of people know, produces some really amazing wines. And originally, I don't know if it was a matter of timing, whatever, Shiraz was really what Australia was known about, and there's a lot of it. And as a result, you probably have very uneven quality, and I'm sure you've tasted some wines there that were a little bit too commercial, not very good, whatever. But the side that we also have to keep in mind is that there is a lot of really high quality producers in Australia, and Two Hands has been on the top of that list for like close to a decade. I mean, these guys started off two friends, and this is where the Two Hands comes from, and this is sort of the sign on the glass. Started this in 1999. They said, we're going to make our own Shiraz. Australia is good at Shiraz. They started getting access to grapes, as we've discussed some of these phenomena on the West Coast here in the US. And they started producing wine, and then they started developing a portfolio where they had, especially when it came to their Syrah or Shiraz, it was very regional focused. So each, like, they have this garden series. So you've got Bella's Garden, Bella was the daughter of one of the two friends. You've got Lily's Garden, you've got Charlie's Garden. Each one of these garden series, I think there's 4 or 5 of them, or 6 of them, is specific to a region, a very specific region where they get the best wines, the grapes they can from their region. They vinify it, and they make they pick the good barrels, and they make this wine from some of the other barrels they use in some of their mixes. And so this is from the Barossa Valley. Lily's Garden is from the McLaren Vale. And these areas, it's all southern Australia, but they're very different terroirs, very different climates. And over time, the winery has developed. They have a state-of-the-art winery where they can actually take each subplot, each grape, each separate fruit, and keep it separate from harvest to vinification, without mixing it, so that they can decide later. It gives them flexibility on how they're going to assemble, blend their wine at the end. And so this is from as we said, this is from the Barossa Valley, and the soil there is it's red clay, basically. It's not going to be anything like what we've been used to in the Northern Rhone, with the granite, with the hills, with the flintiness. This is red clay. The vines are about 30, 40 years old. The yield, they say that the yield is pretty low, so they're very concentrated, and we can tell by looking at the fruit. It used to be high alcohol, 15, 16, maybe now it's coming down, I don't know how. And just another note on that, I think Two Hands, to me, is sort of the epitome of the just glorious, gorgeous Australian Shiraz that used to be made and was really well sought after. We're talking not 100 years ago, we're talking 10, 15 years ago. Now you've got more trends of sort of simpler, lighter wines that are easier to drink right away. And that trend has also hit Australia, and there's amazing new producers making a different kind of wine. And we don't want to fall in the trap of looking sort of down on the old style of wine, but this is just amazing wine, and because again, I'm familiar with this. It's not the first one I've had. Anyway, looking at the color, it's very dark. It's really less purple than what you get in the Rhone. It's almost like dark, Cabernet. It's red with just a hint of violet. On the nose is cherry. It's really cherry all the way. It's just lots of cherry, not necessarily sour, just fleshy, like thick, juicy, red cherry. And the alcohol, of course, it's there. It's on the nose, but it's just terrific. I mean, it doesn't really take anything away. It's just that the cherry right now, and the cherry is really the strongest thing you can feel. In the mouth, it's a little more diverse. You have the tannins that are still very present. This is a 2004, and this is the other thing. Their wine really ages well because it's very concentrated. It's just very rich, and it really does well in a bottle. So in the mouth, you feel the tannins, which is great, and you expect that. You have the cherry, but it's mixed. It's kind of a little less overwhelming, and then the finish is just a little bit of kind of alcohol that you feel on the back of your throat. We're going to try again just to kind of. I think there is a little bit of anise, on the end. I think it's that dryness that comes, mixed with alcohol. It's just sort of one of those wines that you really feel like you can chew because it's so deep, so dark, so thick. I don't want to analyze every single flavor here because the cherry is still predominant, but it's just sort of one of these wines that you drink it, you enjoy it, it brings a smile to your face, and you're just happy to be enjoying it. It's very alcoholic, so you're going to feel it afterwards. But, maybe one glass instead of two. And for the price, these are wines that are, they're expensive, $60, $70. But still, I mean, it's just an amazing quality wine. The range of the wines they make go all the way up to 180, like the sort of single barrel, single vineyard expressions that they pick each year, and they make their flagship wines of. And then you've got these, they're kind of in the middle, and you have some blends that are sort of, $30. But I know it sounds like it's not, it's not cheap, but this is a very high quality producer. They've done very well with a venture that's only about 20 years old, and we'll try one of these days to try some of their newer wines to see if they've changed the style. Because I'm familiar with the 04, 07, 08. These are the wines I've had. And I don't know if they changed their style with the newer wines to be a little bit less alcoholic, a little bit easier to drink, faster. But this is a producer that I would advise you to seek out and get to know better. Cheers.